All right, Dave. You used to do the personal training thing, right?
Yeah, man. What are you getting at? You trying to make some kind of crack or something?
No, no, none of that. Just saying that looking at the stats for lifting and carrying capacity, and some of the numbers just aren't adding up right.
Oh, yeah, that makes more sense. Yeah, 5e is way off when it comes to that kind of stuff. It doesn't even compare to, humans in the real world.
So I guess we should ask the question of what does it look like when you dump strength in 5th edition D&D?
Welcome to Nerdarchy for Nerds, by Nerds. I'm Nerdarchy Dave, and as usual, I'm hanging out with this nerd.
Nerdarchy Ted.
Hey, you want to strengthen your D&D knowledge? Make sure you hit that subscribe button.
And get strong in the ways of Nerdarchy by pushing that notification bell.
Hey, speaking of strength, you want to strengthen your minigame at your table? Check out our sponsor, Ancient Lairs 2D miniature website. This sucker is amazing. You go over there, you make custom miniatures, pawns or flat standees, whatever you want to call them, or tokens for your virtual tabletop. They're bright, they're colorful, they look gorgeous.
There's hundreds of different options the way you're going to put it together. They got 4 designated races, and then they're going to allow the community to choose one more race that gets unlocked during the Kickstarter, as well as all of the different armors, weapons, and all the different things that you can do. They are double-sided, so you're going to be able to have a front and a back. You go ahead, you print them out. It's going to be a subscription service. You can go in for a month, 2 months, whatever have you, or all the way up to a lifetime thing right on the Kickstarter. There's lots of stuff that's going to get unlocked with this. I think this is going to be really cool. You definitely got to check it out. Link is going to be down in the description.
Yep, check it out. And like Ted said, once you look at all those combinations, there's like hundreds of combinations you can make. Sometimes physical minis, while they're great, they're not practical. These standees can be used anywhere. They're easy to carry, easy to store. And not only that, like we said, there's a virtual options as well. So with that, check it out. And let's jump into our video.
All right, so we're talking about dumping strength. So what does it really look like when you've got a low strength in D&D?
So we started looking into this, and we got some strength fun facts for you for 5e D&D. And the biggest glaring thing is dumping strength in D&D doesn't really feel like you're dumping strength at all. We break it out 2 different ways that we look at it. We look at what does it look like when you get to 8, which pretty much is what you're going to end up with, a point buy or the standard array, or if you actually roll and you get a 3 and put it in your strength. So the main way strength is going to affect you in 5e is you can't wear heavy armor except for ring mail. It's the only one. It weighs 40 pounds. That's going to come up later and be a little bit more important. But for the most part, it doesn't restrict your weapon choices. And all the way up to light and medium armor, you can wear whatever you want. Your carrying capacity for a 8 strength is 120 pounds. And that means that you can drag, pull, push double that, 240 pounds with an 8 strength. That hardly feels like a weakling to me.
Nah, and when we're doing our discussions, we bring Nerder Doug into the conversations for these, just so that he can get his opinions on them, and we get to share them here. Both Doug and I have done a decent amount of backpacking in our youth, and to carry 50 pounds as a 120, 150 pound person, like, that seems like an awful lot. I can recall the trainer saying, look, you're angling for like a quarter to a third of your weight, at the most that you want to be able to do. And I look at these carrying capacities, and it's through the roof. It's crazy. That 8 strength character, I weigh 110 pounds, 120 pounds. I can carry 120 pounds. These are relying on, I'm just going to pick up my buddy over my shoulder, and I'm going to march around. I got my gear, him and his gear, and it's no big deal. That's what the barbarian's for, right? So totally crazy. But then the concept of that 8 strength can lift 240 pounds over their head. Just, I got this. Yep, no big deal. That's just preposterous for me.
Now, I haven't done backpacking the way you and Doug have, but I used to be a personal trainer, kind of as you mentioned before, so I've done a lot of weight training and seen a lot of people lift weights. Most people cannot bench press 240 pounds. Plenty of people can't move. Plenty of people can't move that much weight with just their legs. But here we're talking about pressing over your head. That is unheard of. It's that's actually pretty strong. Most people would be really happy if they can move around 240 pounds.
You know, I've moved weight. You know, I've spent time doing a variety of, you know, weightlifting, you know, programs. I ran track when I was in school. I, you know, did a fitness program with yourself, you know, many years before Nerdarchy. So like, there's different things that I've done, but I don't ever really feel like I could easily put 120 pounds up over my head. Does that mean I have under an 8 strength? Like, I don't think I'm that weak.
Well,
but...
speaking under an 8 strength, for a 90-pound weakling in 5e, you got to look to the 3 strength. And that gives you a carry capacity of 45 pounds, which means we could still put on that ring mount armor that weighs 40 pounds. And we have 5 pounds to play with.
Which is most weapons are going to fall within that spectrum. But like, you could have, oh well, I've got a dagger, I've got a javelin, and I've got a belt pouch full of some trail rations to lead me for the day. But somebody else is carrying the rest of my gear. No 10-pound bedroll, no tent, you know, no water skins. Like, forget that nonsense. But you could absolutely have a guy in ringmail with a longsword and a dagger, dual wielding. And there are no penalties within the game because he's at his carry capacity.
Yeah, I mean, other than the minus for your strength, because you're using strength. But yeah, it's kind of minuscule in comparison as far as carrying and lifting and doing that things. You know, we said you can, you know, your carrying capacity is 45, but you can actually lift 90, pull 90, drag 90. And, you know, 90 pounds over your head is still no small feat. You know, there's a lot of adults that can't lift 90 pounds over their head. So the 90-pound weakling in D&D is not a weakling at all. And let's look at it. Mechanically, what's it going to affect? If we make melee attacks or thrown weapon attacks using our strength, we get a minus. We have one skill, one whopping skill you're going to take a penalty to. Your strength saving throws, and again, strength is not one of the strong saves. Pun not intended. You know, so it's not going to affect you that much. And if you're, you know, a dex-based character, which I've seen a lot of times they dump their strength, you're going to replace a lot of the stuff you would use strength for with dexterity. So it's hardly even an hindrance. So when it comes down to playing a weakling, dumping your strength in D&D, what is that really going to mean? Like, we used to, like, before we started doing the research on the video, thinking like, oh, that person has a handicap or a physical disability, or, you know, they suffer from an illness or ailment or disease, or, you know, maybe they're stricken with some kind of disease when they're a child, so their body didn't develop. But then we run the numbers and we're like, none of that really makes sense.
So it's going to come down to a couple of things. Number one, role-playing wise, while you are a hero and you are beyond the capacities for what, you know, other people have, you know, you're going to have to compare yourself to your allies, you know, and that's going to be your disparaging difference. You know, if your DM is running monsters that have, you know, grapple, you know, that's where some major things could come up, especially with any kind of subsequent, you know, bite, swallow, what have you, things that come thereafter. You know, things where there's going to be hazards where you have to make athletics checks to push your way through things, or, you know, anything that's going to really be, you know, physically strenuous, not enduring, not constitution saves, but, you know, physically, you know, hard pressed that you have to work your way through.
Climbing, jumping, any of that kind of stuff. But you know, oddly enough, apparently the barbarian can just throw you over a shoulder and do it for you anyway, with you and your gear.
So, like, once you get into that, you know, it's gonna take, you know, the players working together, as all good, you know, parties should. But realistically, I've played characters that have dumped strength. I do feel, you know, it is the weakest stat, you know, in 5th edition, and again, pun intended. But it's a scenario where it just doesn't have that great an impact until the DM decides, I'm going to make that an impact on this scene.
Yeah, so most of the restrictions I feel like are going to be self-imposed, and you're going to role play, and you still have fun with it. But, you know, some fun facts that we kind of like figured out while we're looking, you know, looking at strength to do a dump stat video. It just doesn't affect you the way we thought it was going to. But you can still have fun with it. You can still role play it. You can still ham it up a little bit.
So if you're looking for some more dump stat discussion, you can check out Playing Dumb in D&D right up here.
Hey, you want to join our adventuring party? Head over to Patreon, where you can support us, where we create 5e content for DMs and players alike every month.
But that's not all. We got weekly live chats, monthly giveaways. Our patrons automatically get access to all of that and more.
So until next time,
stay nerdy.